Have you ever imagined a place that promised safety, care, and dignity in old age, but instead became a silent house of death? A home where residents trusted a gentle woman with their last years, only to find their lives cut short by poison hidden in their medicine. This is the chilling story of Amy Archer-Gilligan, the American woman who turned a nursing home into a killing ground. And before we dive into this unsettling tale, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss the darkest and most shocking stories from history and true crime. Amy Duggan was born in 1868 in Connecticut into a working-class Irish-American family. Her early life seemed unremarkable. She attended local schools, went to church, and grew up in an ordinary household. To those around her, she appeared polite, religious, and hardworking. But behind her calm exterior was a hunger for more, a desire for money, comfort, and control that would later lead her down a dark and deadly path. Amy married James Archer in 1897, and together they opened a home for the elderly and infirm in Newton, Connecticut. In those days, nursing homes were not closely regulated. Families often left their aging relatives in the care of such homes, hoping they would be fed, sheltered, and treated kindly until their last days. Amy's home, called the Archer Home for the Elderly and Infirm, seemed like a blessing. Residents described it as a warm place, and Amy presented herself as a devoted caretaker. She read the Bible, prayed with her patients, and smiled with the nurse's gentleness. But slowly, beneath that facade of kindness, suspicion began to brew. Within just a few years. Death became a frequent visitor at the Archer home. Of course, death was expected in a place where many were already old or sick, but the rate of funerals was far higher than what seemed natural. Residents appeared to decline suddenly, sometimes only weeks after arriving. At first, families dismissed it as bad luck. After all, these were fragile people nearing the end of their lives. But the truth was much darker. Amy had discovered an easy and quiet way to rid herself of people, while also enriching her own life: poison. Arsenic and strychnine, readily available in pharmacies at the time, became her tools of death. She would add them to food, medicine, or drinks, watching as her patients grew weaker day by day. By the time a doctor was called, it was too late. The symptoms looked like natural causes: heart failure, old age, or sudden illness. No one suspected the smiling, church-going caretaker at their bedside. Her motive was as cold as it was calculated: money. Amy began encouraging residents to sign contracts with her, agreements that would guarantee her a steady income in exchange for lifetime care. The deal was simple: residents would pay a lump sum or sign over property and savings, and Amy promised to take care of them until their natural death. But the natural part was short-lived. Many of those who signed these contracts did not survive long enough to benefit from the promise of care. For Amy, each death meant profit, and each new resident became an opportunity. Her husband James died in 1910. Only 13 years after their marriage. His death was officially recorded as kidney disease, but whispers later suggested that Amy might have poisoned him as well. After his death, Amy quickly remarried, this time to a wealthy man named Michael Gilligan. But this marriage too ended in tragedy. Just months after their wedding, Michael was dead again, from causes that seemed suspiciously sudden. Amy inherited his wealth, further fueling speculation about her involvement. By now, the Archer home had gained a dark reputation in whispers and rumors, though few dared to speak out publicly. Families grieved, but often trusted the explanations they were given. Still, the number of deaths grew harder to ignore. Some estimates suggest that over 60 residents may have died unnaturally under Amy's care. It wasn't until 1914 that suspicions began to turn into investigation. The family of one victim, Franklin Andrews, raised questions after his sudden and unexpected death. Andrews had been healthy when he entered the Archer home, but he died abruptly after only a short time there. His family discovered that Amy had recently pressured him into lending her money. They began to wonder whether his death had been more than just chance. The Andrews family contacted local authorities, and soon the press caught wind of the story. The Hartford Courant, one of Connecticut's major newspapers, launched its own investigation. Journalists uncovered a disturbing pattern: death after death at the Archer home, many involving residents who had signed over property, savings, or large sums of money to Amy Archer-Gilligan. Headlines painted her as the poison widow, and public outrage began to grow. When police began digging deeper, they found even more shocking evidence. Amy had purchased large amounts of arsenic and strychnine from local drugstores, supposedly to kill rats. But the volume she bought far exceeded what anyone would need for pest control. The suspicion was no longer just rumor, it was becoming undeniable proof. In 1916, Amy Archer-Gilligan was arrested and charged with multiple counts of murder. The trial that followed captivated the nation. Here was a respectable woman, a caregiver, a churchgoer, now accused of being a serial killer who preyed on the vulnerable. Witnesses testified about her purchases of poison, her financial arrangements with residents, and the suspiciously high death toll in her home. Doctors described the symptoms of her victims, which matched arsenic poisoning. Amy's defense team tried to argue that she suffered from mental illness, that perhaps she was not fully aware of her actions. But the prosecution painted her as cold, calculating, and greedy. The jury believed the evidence. In 1917, she was found guilty of murder and sentenced to death by hanging. The idea of a woman facing execution was shocking at the time, and her case became infamous across the country. However, Amy's lawyers appealed the case, and a new trial was ordered. In the second trial, her defense once again pushed for the insanity plea. This time, the jury accepted it. Amy Archer-Gilligan's death sentence was overturned, and instead, she was committed to the Connecticut State Hospital for the Insane, where she would spend the rest of her life. She remained there until her death in 1962. At the age of 94, Amy's story is remembered as one of the darkest in American nursing history. The Archer home, once a place meant for care and dignity, had been transformed into a house of silent terror. Her crimes forced lawmakers to look more closely at nursing homes and elder care, leading to stricter regulations in the years that followed. Even today, her legacy raises unsettling questions. How many more lives might she have taken beyond the ones we know? How long can someone hide behind kindness and religion while carrying out such evil acts? And how do we truly protect society's most vulnerable from those who exploit them? Amy Archer-Gilligan was not just a criminal. She was a predator who used compassion as camouflage, turning one of the most trusted roles in society into a mask for murder. Her life remains a haunting reminder that evil often wears the face of kindness, and that sometimes the safest places may be the most dangerous. If you found this story chilling, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We bring you more dark histories, true crime cases, and stories that force us to confront the unsettling side of human nature. Stay with us because the past holds secrets you won't want to miss.